Hello and welcome to the program. I am Imonia Marire. Barring any last-minute change of date, Nigeria will conduct a population and housing census in April 2023, just about a month after the 2023 general elections. The 2023 exercise will be the fifth national census to be held since Nigeria's independence in 1960. The last one was held 16 years ago in August 2006. Before then, there were the 1962, 1963, 1973, 1991 head counts, which were plagued by one controversy or the other. Each one of the 5 population censuses since independence has been disputed, marked by credibility issues and in some cases outright rejection by one section of the country or the other. In fact, more than election outcomes, population figures have been the most disputed. They are treated with so much suspicion and skepticism because of political interference and economic maneuvers. This has in a way affected the regular conduct of censuses, which should ideally hold at 10-year intervals to provide credible and reliable data for socio-economic planning. The 2023 census is being preceded by a trial census, which kicked off in June. According to the National Population Commission, NPC, the government agency that is in charge, it is being used to test RUN-E's readiness for the actual exercise scheduled to hold in April 2023. We shall be looking at the scope of the ongoing trial census, how representative it is in terms of sample, and how it intends to help cure the shortcomings of previous census exercises. We shall also be prying into the reasons behind the choice of 2023, an election year, for the conduct of an exercise as sensitive and emotive as the census. The planners say it will be a digital process, but how scientific can it be to wriggle free of undue political interference? Well, our guest is the chairman of the National Population Commission, NPC, Honorable Nasir Issa Kwara. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll be delving straight into the issues. All right, thank you so much for staying with us. My guest is the chairman of the National Population Commission, NPC, Honorable Nasir Issa Kwara. Once again, thank you so much for finding time to join us.
Thank you very much.
Let's begin from the 2022 World Population Day, which is observed every July 11 around the world. Now, what is Nigeria doing, or what did Nigeria do this year to be part of this process?
Okay. Thank you very much. The World Population Day is normally marked every 11th July every year. It's normally at the global level, United Nations Population Fund normally arranges this. And we here in Nigeria, together with the UNFPA, we mark the World Population Day. Today is just to observe the World Population Day, but the activities, especially the press briefing that we'll do will come up later in the month. Myself and the resident representative of United Nations Population Fund will be addressing Nigerians on the importance of the World Population Day. But today is marked generally, but normally you are given the latitude to choose a date to mark it in your own country.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's return to the issue that is on the table, as it were, in Nigeria today, the National Population Census, Population and Housing Census, as it's called. The last one was held 16 years ago in 2006. Let us understand very clearly how important is a census in the life of a nation.
Well, census is very important because it provides data, socioeconomic and demographic data for policymakers to use and for planners to plan for the socioeconomic development of the nation. You can't plan actually without data, especially for a country as large as Nigeria, as in terms of population and landmass. So the data is used by both government and private sector. For the government, it's used for planning, for provision of infrastructure, for the development of the human capacity through education and healthcare, and it is used for, in fact, every sector of the economy. So data from census is life. Every nation needs it. If you don't have the data you plan, you're just groping in the dark. But if you have accurate data and you plan, you get it right. Any nation that wants to develop must rely on accurate data generated from the census exercise.
The second component of the census exercise, apart from population, is housing.
Yes.
Yes. So
yes, we have also gone very far. We started planning for this because it's like the foundation for the modern census, housing and population housing census. We started planning this way back 2016, when we sought approval to be given data to money to be able to demarcate the country. We started sort of manual, but eventually we digitized the whole process. Today, we have been able to demarcate 772 local governments fully out of the 774. We have already made arrangement to conclude the remaining 2 local governments, but if the insecurity situation does not permit, we have other sources of getting those areas to be covered. But we want to make sure we cover every part of Nigeria 100%. And the data to be generated is going to be very useful. We get using the satellite imageries, we are able to get the entire building stock in the country. They are all for different purposes, for household, for commercial, schools, health institutions, roads, streets, bridges. The entire landscape of the country is actually properly covered. And the resources we have are enormous. We have every building geocoded, so it's been numbered. If you use your handheld device, you get there, it will tell you the numbers there. So for the census, if you are going for the census, because we have that already, which we input into our app, the handheld device, you are given an enumeration area. You go in there, it will show you the area covered and the houses in the area. Those that are residential, you go there and you enumerate the members of that household, and then you do that, move from one house to another. We have like a tracking device that shows areas you have covered. So we want to make sure every Nigerian is enumerated, every household is covered, even those special population that do not live under any particular roof, they will also be captured.
So, if I understand you clearly, the enumeration of the houses will actually assist in the enumeration of people who live in those houses.
Sure.
So the housing enumeration is actually almost like a precondition to the population enumeration.
Yes, we've done demarcation of enumerated the houses. But you know, between the time that we enumerated the houses and now, or when the census will take place, you know, development is taking place. So before the actual enumeration, there will be validation of what we have in the software and what we find in ground. If there are new development, you have to capture that and include in the entire package.
Now, at the moment, there is a trial census going on in certain parts of the country.
Yes.
Tell us, how widespread is this trial census? How many states, for instance, is it covering? How many local governments out of the 774 local governments in Nigeria are being covered by this trial census?
Okay, thank you very much. The census covers the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. However, we have chosen, out of the 6 geopolitical zones, we have chosen some states to cover one particular local government full. Then in the other 30 states, we have a supervisory area covering 6 enumeration areas in every local government of this, in every senatorial district of the state. You know, every state has 3 senatorial districts. So we cover those aspects, not the full local government, but some enumeration areas that have been picked for that exercise. So in the 6 states, we have in Katsina in Northwest, we have Ogun State in Southwest. In the North Central, we have Nasarawa. In South-South, we have Bayelsa. Then in Northeast, we have Tongo. And so in Northeast, sorry, we have Adamawa State. I was mentioning the local government. Then in Southeast, Southeast, we have Anambra. Those are the states we've chosen for.
That's one part geopolitical zone.
Yes, full enumeration of local government. Yes.
So, how large is an enumeration area? When you say you are taking an enumeration area, how large is it?
Okay, an enumeration area is a geographical area that houses between 250 to 500 persons. So in an urban setting, you find it very small because of the density. In a rural setting, you may cover a large number of, large geographical area because population is sparsely distributed there. So we go by that to be able to, after carving out the enumeration area and working out, you know, the capacity of the enumerators to be able to work within the approved. If it is 10 days, if it is 5 days that has been approved for the census exercise, they should be able to cover that within a period of 5 days without overlapping.
So there's a specified time to cover an enumeration area?
Yes.
It's not open-ended.
No, it's not. It's not open-ended. No.
You have 2 weeks or a whole month to do this.
No, no. You have to work within the time frame.
Okay.
But you know, there are cases where you may not be able to cover completely, but we have a mop-up period to be able to take care of the areas not covered. But essentially, an enumerator should be able to cover, or a pair of enumerators should be able to cover the
talking of the personnel involved now.
Yes.
How many persons How many enumerators have been deployed for this trial exercise?
Okay, we've deployed over 13,000 enumerators and supervisors, because they have supervisors checking what and what they do. We have quality assurance team, we have ICT teams, we have GIS. They're all part of the entire process. But the real enumerators, we have about 11 or so, 11,000, 11, 12,000.
And they are drawn from the states where they reside or where they come from, or are they moved to other places to do the enumeration?
Okay. We have localized the recruitment process.
Okay.
So they are picked from where they reside, so that they don't have problem of accommodation if you take them from their own place to another area or bring some people from out. So it's localized. They are residents of that particular area. They may not, that area may not be the state of origin, but once they reside there, they can participate in the census taken there.
And it's also a possibility of ease of communication?
Sure. Yes. It's also important actually to have people that should be able to communicate with the respondents, the households. So essentially, English will be used, but the questionnaires also have been translated into some local languages.
And possibly knowledge of the geographical area where they operate.
Yes.
May be of some advantage.
Yeah, sure.
And how much training did these enumerators get before pushing them into the field? Okay,
we have trained them for 12 days, and once they return from the summer break, on the 13th, they will go into validation of the buildings. They'll go into validation of the buildings for 2-3 days, after which they'll go for the actual enumeration of persons. Validation is to validate the map. It's an electronic map that you can see it in your handheld device. You validate it to adjust to some changes that's taking place between the time that we did the map and now. Like I told you earlier, if there are improvements, they will validate those improvements, and then we allow the enumerators to now go in and count or enumerate the residents there.
Now, you spoke earlier on about this being a digital process.
Yes.
What exactly do you mean when you say this is a digital census enumeration process? Is the commission using specific devices, like, for instance, INEC is using beavers now to validate voters, authenticate their identity and all of that. Is there something like that that we're looking at? What of the data collected from the field, where does it end up, for instance? Okay,
thank you very much. This is a good question, because yes, it's going to be a fully digital census. So this trial census means a dress rehearsal. Whatever we want to do at the main census, we start it from now. It is devoid of use of pen and paper completely. You use the handheld device. We call it PDA. This PDA has the software with all the geo mappings, geo-coded information into them. It has questionnaire also built into it. So they carry this handheld device, and they are assigned enumeration areas. So when they get to the enumeration areas, they are allowed to go in if they're in the right place. If they're in the wrong place, you won't even allow them to go in. So that is the geofencing of the enumeration areas. So if you get into the area, you confirm the building with all the codes, you do the household listing, and then start from the head of the house. You start enumerating them down to the last person. You are through with that, you get to the next household. In the process, as you gather data, you are able to upload to our central server here in the headquarters, where we have a cloud server and an in-house server. So it throws it up, and we're able to get it in the headquarters, where we do the analysis. We analyze all the figures that have been received for us to really determine all the characteristics we're looking out for in the census.
In other words, we're saying that the PDA device, for instance, if I take one that has already been programmed
Yeah.
For, say, Nasarawa State, a particular enumeration area in Nasarawa State,
yeah.
and I take it to either the FCT or to Ogun State, it will not work.
It won't work at all. It won't allow you. You can't work there. So, and we have a dashboard. We're able to even monitor from our office there,
where each of those devices is moving to.
Yes. Yeah, we have footprints that shows where and where they're going to. We have a situation room. We have call centers that we can communicate with the public and the enumerators in the field.
Is there a possibility, Chairman, that if I'm an enumerator and I'm assigned a specific area to go and do my enumeration, that I could manipulate the PDA device to impute the numbers that I want, numbers of persons that I want into that device, and in the process possibly either inflate or decrease the figures that I generate?
It won't allow that. It won't allow that. It's properly controlled. And we have supervisors, we have quality control all around, checking what the enumerators are doing. So it's not possible. And it's not possible to for somebody to be counted twice, because the essence of this census is to make sure everyone is counted, and is counted once and in the right place. In the right place means in his place of abode. Yes.
Now, for purposes of emphasis, you have been reported as saying that this trial census will test all phases of the main census.
Yes.
What are these main phases
that
you're talking about?
Okay. Well, like I told you, the enumeration area demarcation exercise produced maps, and we're going to test the workability of these maps. We have tested them in the first census pretest. We have tested them in the second census pretest. This is the third, and it's called trial census, and it dressed has because the coverage has been enlarged. So we test the maps. We test the entire census operation, from the planning to the implementation. We test, for instance, the questionnaires. After testing the maps, we test the questionnaires. We test our publicity, whether publicity has been very effective. We test our logistics arrangements. We test even the analysis of the data in the data center. All these things will be tested to be able to assure us that when we come to the main census, we don't have any issues. If we have any issues at this stage, we'll now take remedial action to make sure we don't have that in the main census. That's what is meant by testing the whole
phases of the exercise.
Yes.
Including the geo mapping and all of that.
All those. Well, the geo mapping produced the e-map,
yes,
electronic map. So we want to test whether the map is actually working. We want to also test the workload. That's why in the local government, we picked a small local government, we picked a big local government and a moderate local government, just to test the workload on the enumerators.
Because
how to reach areas.
Yes.
All those things are.
Because the enumerators are very key in this exercise.
Very, very key.
At the moment, you are deploying about 13,000 plus of them for the trial assessors.
Yep.
How many thousands will then be deployed for the main census in April 2023? What's the projection?
We deploy more than 1 million, about 1.5 million. But for us to be able to do that, we have to train, we have to, say, invite more than 2 million to be able to now train them, and those that have were found to be very good, we now pick them, and then the rest that have not performed very well, but we will recruit more than 1 million, about 1.5, 1.6 million enumerators, young men out there that we have. Most of them are not working, and they're eager to really come and support us.
That's a very huge task in terms of training, to use all the gadgets that you'll be making available for that exercise.
Yes.
Now, like we said earlier on, the last census was 16 years ago, 2006. Now, so what would be the main difference between what happened then and what is happening now in the trial census and what will happen in 2023?
Okay, thank you very much. The last census was conducted 2006, and it was manual. Census that we're planning to conduct now is going to be completely digital. That's the main difference. But in terms of criteria, we are governed by the international standards made by the United Nations Population Fund, governing the conduct of censuses. This census, right from the recruitment process, recruitment is very cumbersome. We are using digital technology. Even for this trial census, we used e-recruitment. We created a portal. The applicants applied. Were able to disqualify some that have. We're using a NIN number to be able to ascertain that this person is actually the person that is presenting himself. We're using the NIN number that was produced by NIMSI, and we're using, they upload their qualifications, their papers, we check that, and even the photograph in the NIMSI data, as well as the one they present, will compare. If it is a man that's applying, meanwhile NIMSI data is a lady, you're disqualified outrightly at that stage. So right from the recruitment, it's digital, and to the entire processes, like we said about the maps, and the questionnaire, and the e-maps that we have, that we created the enumeration areas. You get there, and you do the enumeration, and we're able to track from our office where everybody is working. So it's all the deployment of modern technology, high-end modern technology, all in a bid to provide Nigeria a very scientific, accurate, reliable data for national planning and development.
I assume that the over 1.6 million people that will be recruited for this exercise, most of them will be ad hoc staff. For that purpose.
Sure.
Is there a possibility that the Commission will be looking at, say, using Nigerians who are on youth service, for instance, to help in this process?
Sure. We use them a lot. We're working on
and other categories of, say, maybe people from the security services or what?
All of them. We're all using them because they're assisting us in taking the details of all this equipment we're using. Anybody that gets away, we'll be able to track him and get back our property. Yes.
All right. Let's take a short break. When we return, we'll be looking at the amount of support that the MPC is getting from local and international organizations in the effort at doing an accurate and credible head count for Nigeria. Stay with us. All right, thank you so much for staying with us, people. Politics in Power, and we're looking at Nigeria's attempt at conducting another population and housing census. My guest is Honorable Isa Kwara, Chairman of the National Population Commission. Your commission has been talking about the enumeration of special populations. Who and what constitutes special population?
Okay. Okay, the special population are those migrant fishermen, migrant farmers, the herders, the people in transition, transit, as well as those that do not have roofs under their heads, are sleeping like under the bridges or in an open. So we take them as the special population. And during the enumeration demarcation, enumeration area demarcation exercise, we're able to identify some of these people and where they are. So we did a survey to be able to find out where they are. You know, a herdsman will be here today. Next time he'll move to another place. So we do the validation of where they are before census. That's before the actual enumeration. There's a night we call census night. That's the night before people that are mentally derailed or they have psychological problems. You find them, they sleep under the bridge or in some buildings uncompleted. What we do is the best time to track them is at night when they want to rest. So if you get to them that time, you'll be able to meet them at those spots and count them, because you won't go to any particular house to say you'll be able to count them. It's using that census night to be able to get them midnight, and you'll be able to get information on them. They are special in the sense that, we say we want to count everyone in Nigeria and in the right place. The right place is that under the bridge or in a completed house for those special population. But for normal population, you go to their residences and count them there. So,
isn't there some danger in, for instance, trying to enumerate people who are mentally challenged, for instance?
Yeah.
Possibility of their being violent with the enumerators is there. Have you considered that possibility?
Yeah, we don't normally go with some security backups. We have security supporting us in case there's such violence. But at that time, most of them are sober and they will be able to respond to you. But it's better to really be prepared in case of this kind of challenge.
Mm.
Yes.
And there's also the challenge of people, this is what we now call special populations, of people who may be here today, enumerated here today, and maybe in 2 or 3 days' time they are elsewhere away from the particular enumeration area where they were enumerated originally, and may want to be enumerated again in the new area where they have moved to. How do you reconcile that? Is there anything that will show you that these set of people have been enumerated already in enumeration area A, and they are now in enumeration area G, for instance?
Okay, all right. We have indelible marks that will be difficult to wipe. So for that period, you can always check that and make sure you don't count anybody twice.
And that indelible mark cannot be cleaned off?
No, not easily.
So easily?
Yeah.
Okay. So now how much support is the MPC getting in this exercise, both from other governmental agencies and from the international community? From the UNFPA, for instance, how much support are you getting from all of these organizations and agencies of government?
Okay. Thank you very much. So far, I can say in terms of financial support, government has been providing that for us. But normally in censuses of this nature, we have support from within and outside. If we have support from any agency, it will be in terms of partnership and the exchange of technical knowledge. We are planning, UNFPA is going to coordinate a donor conference, a conference of donors within and outside Nigeria that will mobilize funds for to support the census. Apart from mobilizing fund, they are providing technical support to the commission. They've deployed a very experienced census chief technical advisor who has conducted censuses in 6-7 countries in the past. The last one he conducted was in Ghana here, so he has now moved over to Nigeria. He's helping us with all the technical details. Every step we take, he cross-checks. We do the census, but he just provides that technical support to us. And they also build capacity for us in terms of training of our staff. That is the kind of support that we've been getting from UNFPA and from other countries, because EU is going to come, US is going to come, so many international organizations and corporations will provide the assistance. The United Nations Economic Commission for Africa has also been coming to us providing that kind of support. We're working with World Bank and we intend to reach out to our brother Dangote Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. All of them will reach out to them to see whatever they can do to support this census exercise. The data we're generating here is useful essentially for Nigeria, but the global community also wants to use our data. That's why we have to operate and conduct this census in line with international best practices. And I want to assure you that Nigeria's census is going to be transformative, because so far no other country has been able to prepare for the population and housing census in Africa like Nigeria has done, because of the deployment of technology to come up with geospatial resources that we have at hand. We are going to help so many agencies, so many government agencies use these resources. Already we are partnering with NIPOS, we've done with INEC. This census data will not be useful for INEC in this election, but subsequent elections they will use our data for even redelineating the constituencies that we have. Yes.
You have just spoken about funding.
Yes.
This is a very a huge project. You are talking about a donor conference and all of that.
Yes.
How much do you estimate would be required for a successful conduct of this census?
Well, so far government has approved for us 198 billion in the budget. We're still utilizing the money. We have not exhausted that. But the bulk of the money will come when will be required. One in the PDAs, acquisition of PDAs, and in the payment of enumerators. I told you we're going to recruit up to about 1.5 million enumerators. The bulk of funding will be used for payment of the enumerators, and we are going to have post-enumeration activities too, which also require money.
Okay, let me bring you back a little bit to the trial census,
okay.
Which also may have dovetail into the census proper itself next year. And the biggest concern is that of security.
Okay.
In many parts of the country today, the insecurity is so prevalent. And one is wondering how the MPC will be able to successfully carry out this trial census. Is ongoing at the moment, how to successfully carry it out. And if the situation does not abate before April 2023, what then happens?
Okay, thank you very much. This is a very important question because every Nigerian knows what is happening in the country, and no one is happy about that. But the insecurity should not deter us from conducting this census, because we have, like you said yourself, stayed for more than 16 years without conducting a census. If we don't conduct it now, when are we going to conduct it? And Nigeria needs this data badly. The projections that we've been having based on 2006 data can mislead government. So it's better to have an accurate data that's current and reliable. And yes, we have I've personally visited the heads of security agencies to actually do advocacies for them to continue to support us in the exercises. Even the enumeration area demarcation, they assisted us, and they have all assured us that they continue to support the commission throughout its field operations, to be able to allow them have access to every part of the country to be able to carry out this enumeration. We have had situations where countries that are even in war, you still have censuses conducted in those countries. So I think it will be of great service to Nigeria to really forge ahead and conduct this census, taking into account that the fact that the security agencies have assured they will give us coverage. And don't forget that by the grace of God, we will have, if we are conducting the census, persons enumeration in 5 days, we'll have no movement, maybe instructions. So at least that will sort of provide security for our staff during that enumeration exercise.
I'm aware that you have had the opportunity of moving around some of these places where the trial census is going.
Yes.
Have you had any reports of your personnel being attacked or having security issues?
No, we have not had any of that.
That's lucky so far.
Yes, we've been lucky. Our team was going to Brass from Yenagua, and it didn't happen to them, but they had happened to like a boat that So where they had that, but we were lucky to really get through, and we were able to go to Brass, and we did our training, and they're preparing to go now for the actual trial census as soon as we're back from summer break. Yes.
Now the big elephant in the room, Chairman,
Yes.
which is that historically census exercises have been very controversial in Nigeria.
Yes.
Almost all the census exercises that have been conducted since independence have been disputed one way or the other. They have been rejected at one point or the other. And all we have been doing since the 2006 census have been projections.
Yes.
A 3.5% annual growth rate,
Yes.
and which are now giving us something in over 200 million Nigerians.
Yes.
These are estimates. These are
216, yes.
so this is, the one of 2023 is expected to give us an accurate, credible, and acceptable census
Data.
figures.
Yes.
Now, so what is it that your commission is doing differently or is going to do differently that would put to rest all the controversies, all the disputations of the past, and hope that the one of 2023 will be acceptable to every section of Nigeria?
Okay. Thank you very much. It's the methodology that we have deployed. Like, it's scientific, and the use of technology that enhances accuracy and efficiency. That's the speed with which we're able to compute. Then the other aspect is publicity and advocacy. Get Nigerians to be involved. I want to appeal to Nigerians to please take this as an opportunity. We are doing this for ourselves, and let every Nigerian own this census program as if it's its own personal project. Make sure we work on providing Nigeria data that we badly need, the data that is accurate, reliable, and will be transformational in taking Nigeria to greater heights. We need this data, and it is us that will work towards getting this accurate data. No interference from anywhere, and we want to continue to do that. And as the body of commissioners, we are all resolved. Though we are coming from each state, we're working on providing Nigeria data that will change. It's going to be a landmark, census that we're going to have, transformational, to provide data that is reliable and it's verifiable, because we can, you can get data for an enumeration area, for a ward, electoral ward, for a local government. You can have that with this technology that we have. You'll be able to verify this kind of data. So by the grace of God, this data will be acceptable to Nigerians.
I like that word verifiable, because yes, I'm sure that with technology, a lot of Nigerians want to verify what you are going to put out as the final figures sure, at the end of the exercise. Yes. So it's very key that these figures are verifiable. Yes. I should be able to verify whether the figures that you have enumerated for my local government or for my village, in fact, is accurate and is credible enough for to work with. And then, of course, there's the issue of the date for this exercise. Okay. It was originally scheduled to be in 2022. Yes. And then it had to be moved to 2023. Yes. And it's going to come up shortly after the 2023 elections. Yes. What informed the choice of April and the choice of 2023? It could have been any other time.
Okay. Actually, it's in a bid to really insulate the census processes as well as the outcome from politics. We would have held the trial census in May. But we have seen the INEC's timetable for the primaries that were conducted in June. So we shifted it to end of June. And it's taken us to end of July, including the training and other activities. So it's the same thing for the main census. Since we know elections will start in February and end around 12th of March, we're now planning our activities. We will do all our preparations and just wait until elections have been conducted and the results have been announced. Then we can now go into the field. By so doing, we have insulated the process and the outcome from politics, and this data will be available to Nigerians to use maybe after the new government has come in, and INEC can use it for subsequent elections. So that's the whole thing. It's just to insulate the process and outcome from.
How many days will the main census take?
The actual count, the enumeration, is 5 days, and then we have mop-up of another 5 days. But from training to validation and so on and so forth, we are pegging it at about a month.
And thereafter, the figures would be announced. How long is that supposed to take?
We want to make sure we have this processed and interim report submitted before the terminal end of this administration.
That's in May?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Nasir Issa Kwara is the chairman of the National Population Commission. It's a government agency charged with conducting national population and housing census. At the moment, that body is conducting trial censuses across all the states of Nigeria and in selected local government areas. But of course, the main census comes up in April, hopefully, 2023. And he has promised that Nigeria would have credible, verifiable census figures. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
All right, that's our program for today. Please join us again when we bring you a fresh edition of People, Politics, and Power. Bye for now.